Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace. Today is Friday the 13th. This is a knitting podcast about knitting and sometimes spinning and sometimes dyeing and baking and reading and cats and tea and a lot of random things that I just find interesting and think that I should share on this podcast. So if you're interested in any of those types of things, this is the podcast for you. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. And if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for checking this podcast out. I hope you enjoy this episode. Like always, all the things that I will be talking about will be linked in the show notes. That can be found on my blog, and if you're not on my blog, the link to my blog will be down below if you're on YouTube or wherever else. So that's cool. And all my various social medias, there's Facebook, Instagram, Ravelry, and Twitter. And I live in a noisy apartment complex, so yay. There's also a Ravelry group that you can go and join, but I am terrible at posting it. But there's still a group if you'd like to join one. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and search the Cat Knit Podcast, it will pop up. And then there's also an online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I've hand dyed, and that is the catknitYarns.bigcartel.com. That'll also be linked down below, so don't worry about remembering it. It'll be linked. It'll be very easy to find. So despite feeling like I didn't have a whole lot to talk about this week, I actually do have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let us get started so this podcast is not too long because there's a lot to talk about. And yes, so if you would like to grab something tasty to drink, I have tea this morning. It is very delicious because it has caffeine, and caffeine is needed this morning. If you'd like to grab something tasty to drink, whether it be hot or cold or a snack or whatever you would like, you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. So, just because I think it's fun, I'm going to point out that I have a little jack-o'-lantern behind me with tea lights in it, and so it's flickering, and like, I think that's super cool because let's get festive. If you are interested in finding this little pumpkin, I think my husband found it at Target for $3, so cheap and very cute. Always a plus. So to begin things off, because I am getting very warm, I'm going to talk about what I'm wearing because I would personally like to take this off because it is getting very warm, like I said. So I have a finished object. What is this? This is crazy. Like I mentioned last week, I was hoping to finish my Clapotea, Clapote, or Clapotis, whatever pronunciation it is, and I finished it that day, people. I finished it, I cast it off, it was great, and then the next day I unraveled all the stitches, which was a joy and a pleasure to do because who doesn't love unraveling stitches? And then I gave it a good old block and it's massive now, so I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, and like I knew was going to happen, I do apologize for the banging in the background. Hopefully they will stop soon and I won't have to stop recording and come back later. I was aware that like while knitting it, Noro, yes, it is kind of scratchy, but once you walk it and as you wear it a little bit, it gets so much softer. It's so nice. It's not like alpaca by any means. It's not cashmere, but it is pretty soft considering what it started out as. So if you are hesitant about knitting with Noro or knitting something that will be close to your neck for that reason, I say give it a try and knit something small, and then that way if you don't like it then it's not that big a deal. But if you try it, I think you will be pleasantly surprised. So yes, last week I also got the name of the designer wrong. I think I said her name was Anne Gilbert, but it is not Anne, it is Kate. It is Kate Gilbert. It is a wonderful, wonderfully designed pattern. It's very easy to memorize. It's free, which is another huge plus. And it's just a really, really wonderful pattern and just makes a very cool scarf. I I will demonstrate very quickly so I don't get too warm. But you can wear it like this. I look forward to wearing it like this, and so then you have like the cool, it just looks cool. And last week I was also concerned, my pigtails are just sticking out. Last week I said I was concerned about the color choices or the colors in this colorway, specifically this orange right here, and this white and this green mixed with the browns and the blues and the gray. But having finished it, I actually really love it, and I haven't like stopped loving it, so that's always a plus. It is always a plus when you like the colors of something that you have spent a lot of time on and you hope to wear. Always a huge plus. So the yarn that I use is, like I said, it's a Noro yarn. I do not know the pronunciation of it, and I actually did not bring over a ball band or anything. But it is called Curio Patora, I believe. And I believe it is a worsted weight on Ravelry. It was a new to me Noro base. My mom and I found it at a yarn store in Oklahoma City sometime around this time last year. So that's very cool. It took me a year to finish this, which it shouldn't have taken me a year, but it did, so that's okay. No judgment. Why are we being so loud this morning? So yeah, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. I can't wait to wear it for when it gets colder, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. If you're looking for like a unique shawl wrappy type thing that you can wear as a scarf, I highly, highly recommend this pattern. Also because it's free, and who doesn't love a free pattern? A free, well-written pattern. Also that is also a big deal. So, Clapoty, Clapotis, Clapoti. Those are the names that it has been given, so however you pronounce it, it is amazing. So yes, I've set that off to the side because it is just very warm. This past week has been a weather roller coaster. I'm going to talk about the weather very slightly, very quickly, so it doesn't become a weather podcast like it normally does. But at the beginning of the week, we had amazing weather. It was like in the mid to low 70s. Like, that was amazing. We had all the windows and the doors open, or the balcony doors open. The breeze was amazing. The air conditioning didn't really have to do anything. We didn't have to have our big fan turned on. We slept with the windows open. We got out our heavier blanket for the bed. It was amazing. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was just so gorgeous. And so we had a couple days of that beautiful weather, and then today the high is going to be in the 90s, mid 90s. So, yay! I know the fall weather is coming back. Next week is going to be relatively cooler than 90 for sure. So that's something to look forward to. I know the winter weather is coming, the fall weather is coming. I know it's coming. It's just taking its sweet time to get here. But oh well. Oh well. So this past week, knitting wise, a lot of the progress did not happen until Wednesday and Thursday, specifically just Thursday. I was busy. I also started a puzzle randomly. I just felt like I was in the mood for a puzzle, so I started a puzzle. And that took all my time because, I don't know about you, but I love puzzles so much. And they are very like, I wouldn't say they are time consuming, but in like the best way possible. And I just love puzzles so much. They also kind of remind me of Christmas for some reason because, at my parents' house growing up, whenever Christmas time would come around, we would pick out a Christmas puzzle, that we were all, like, we could all work on, but I think I worked on it mainly because I loved puzzles so much. So it just kind of reminds me of Christmas a little bit, and I really like that. So yay for puzzles. But so because of that, my knitting at the beginning of the week didn't really happen because I was working on the puzzle, like I said. Repetition. So yesterday and Wednesday a little bit, but mainly yesterday, I was like, I don't have any knitting besides the finished object, so we need to knit. And then I ended up finishing like 3 books. It was great. I have a text message, but I'll go over what my books were later, so don't worry about that. You will hear what the books were that I read. So one of the projects is a very, very old project. I started this last December, I believe. It was sometime after Christmas, so it was like just before the beginning of the year, that span of time between Christmas and New Year's. I started this project. I was so excited. It was another one that took the internet by force, or the knitting world by force, and you all know what it is. It is the wonderful project that has inspired people to do more fading in their projects. It is the Find Your Fade Shawl by Andrea Mowry, which is a wonderful pattern, and I started it, like I said, in December. It was really exciting. I figured out what my fade lineup was going to be. It was going to be great. And I knit on it. I brought this project with me. Okay, story time. This project is special to me. I thought about ripping it out. This is a very random story, or I'm not telling the story very well. Okay, so what am I trying to say? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I, for a while, was not enjoying this project for multiple reasons. Thankfully, all those reasons have been fixed, so I've just gotten over liking it. I love it again. But anyway, so I wasn't liking it. It was not a fun thing to knit, but I didn't want to rip it out for the reason that this is what the project that I brought with me on my wedding day, and I knit on this literally 15 minutes before I walked down the aisle. So it's special to me because of that, and I have wedding pictures of me in my wedding dress knitting on this, and it's just really special. So for that reason, I was bound and determined to finish it, and I knew that if I just got used to it, I would love it. Which I know, yes, knit what makes you happy, but I knew I didn't want to get rid of something that I knit on my wedding day, and that would have been very sad to me. So yes. So I don't really remember what my yarns are. But they might be on my Ravelry page. I don't know. I know that most of them so far are going to be Madeline Tosh. There are several of my yarns in here. I think this pink one is mine. And we were talking about fades, so please be quiet because this is very important. So we start off with the dark pink, light purple, dark purple. I am coming up with quite a problem, and I know that this is not really a problem because it's a fade and you can do literally whatever you want. But because of where the lace sections fall, you can't do the fading during the lace sections. But I am running out of yarn of sections that I need to be longer, and I'm not even remotely close to finishing this lace section, and I only have this much yarn left, and I need to be able to fade it into the next color, which I had the same problem with this purple section, this light purple section, and I don't think I did all the lace repeats, which that's fine. I am not super caught up in making the lace sections all the same, having the same amount of fading rows, because the fading rows, let's see, is that the wrong side? No, that's the right side. I only have a couple of fading rows here, whereas here I have, with the pink and the purple, I have a lot of fading rows. So because I did not have as much light purple yarn, there was only like 1 or 2 fading rows, which like, it really doesn't matter. I know it's gonna look fine. So it's kind of annoying. It's kind of like, you could have picked yarns with full skeins, but I wanted this fade, so I just have to do it. So yes, I am looking forward to moving on to the next color, because the next color I do have a full skein of. It's another one of my yarns, and I really love it. And there's a car going by of some sort. We're talking about yarn. This is very important. Please go away. Anyway, I don't know how well this is going to be seen. Weird. People, calm down. So yes, this is my yarn. I believe this is a skein of mermaid hair, which they all look a little different. But this is how the one that I have looks caked up. I am super excited to knit this up. It is on the Pizzazz base. I really wish that would show up better. I don't think... that's a little better. I'm just very excited. I also like that there are little pops of green in there as well. So, I'm very excited to use this. So, this will be fading from the dark purple into this. And then from this into a Malabrigo Macheta or Machita base. Then into this Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the Odyssey colorway. Then that. And then I have 2 extra skeins that like that or like that. I think they'll go like that. So yes. There we go. That's better. Is this an accurate representation? I don't really know, but these are the colors that will be eventually in my fade. So it'll be from pink to purple to blue to kind of gray. I'm very excited about it, and like I said, it is a special project to me, so I'm looking forward to getting it done and being able to wear it, and then being able to say, I knit this on my wedding day. How cool is that? And then another fun thing is that I have a little Sucra Sucra Miniatures Progress Keeper, which I need to move, but I have one. And it is this little baby, oh come on, come on. It's this baby pizza. And if you know me, and I said this a couple episodes ago when it was like 10 random facts you didn't know about me. And I've probably mentioned it many a time. If I could have a choice, I'd probably eat pizza for every single meal. I love pizza so much. So I like it that I have a little pizza progress keeper. So that's really fun. And plus Sucra Sucra miniatures are really, really adorable. And they're like just so detailed. And I know that there's a bunch of other people out there who make stuff similar to that. I just don't know as many of them. I'd follow them on Instagram, but I only have Sucra Sucra miniatures. So they're super fun. They just add a little bit of character to your knitting. And it's almost kind of like a conversation starter. People, if they're not talking about your knitting, they're probably going to be like, that's a really cool little charm. Why do you have a charm hanging off your knitting? And then you can explain why. They might not understand, but it's still cool because you might have a piece of pizza hanging off your knitting. So that's always a cool thing. So secondly, my knitting and my last knitting project for the week. I got so much progress on, like, oh my goodness. Like I said, I finished 3 books yesterday, so I was very productive. Let's also let it be known that I was halfway through 2 of those books. I was halfway through one, very close, like 4 or 5 chapters away from the end of another one, and then another one I started and finished in a day. So I got a lot done. It was amazing. You might not be surprised by what it is because I've entitled it probably The Reading Project, and that would be living in my fringe field bag with all my pins, because it is amazing and I love this bag so much, and now it jingles because of the pins, which I think is fun. So yes, if you are a dedicated and loyal follower, watcher person, you might remember what is in that bag. I have not changed what lives in that bag, but it is my Starting Point Mystery Knit Along by Joji Locatelli. And what is this? This is the second side. I got so much done on this side. Let me show you the other side. As someone drives by and it's very loud. Okay, so this is what the other side looks like. How well can we hold this thing up? Oh. So, last week, this side did not have this orangey section. It didn't have this white stripe. It literally just stopped with this pink section. And I knit all of that from here to here yesterday. Yesterday evening, in fact. So I am very close to finishing clue 3. Yeah, I think it's clue 3. Yeah. I've been knitting it for so long, I should remember that it's clue 3. Yes, it is definitely clue 3. What day is it? What is my name? So yes, I am working on this. It is going very well. It is literally the best reading project ever because you have like an increase and a decrease, and it's really great. It keeps things like kind of interesting. Sorry, I had yarn stuck between my toes and that was kind of uncomfortable, so I had to fix it. In case you were wondering why I leaned over just then. In case you weren't, now you know. But yeah, it's just a really great reading project. A couple of people have asked me how I read while I knit. And I do it 2 ways. I mostly did it using my iPad, and I have the little like flappy thing that you can get at the Apple store, and I just flipped it up so it would sit on its stand, so then I could read the pages and just like touch the screen and it would flip the pages. So that works. But also recently I have been reading things on my computer as well because I take great advantage of the online public library access that I have through the Houston Public Library. So even though I am not living in Houston currently, I do have a library card there. So that is very wonderful. And yeah, for reading on my computer, it is a little different to like have to click the mouse in order to turn the page, but it is nice having be able to switch easily from pattern to book. Whereas on the iPad, you are in like a specific app for that library, book, whatever, and then you have to leave that app and then go to the pattern, the books app or whatever you use for your patterns. So it just works better for me, I feel like, to read it on the computer, but I do enjoy reading things on my iPad. And I mean, obviously I could have my pattern on my computer and my book on my iPad, and there's just a lot of different variations that I could do. But it's really fun. If you don't think that you are capable of knitting and reading at the same time, just try it out. See if you can do it. It's literally just not knitting and looking at it. And then being able to read stuff while you do that. But I feel like it's a lot easier than people think it is. Yeah, just like maybe knit a swatch, knit something super, super simple to start off to see if you want to test your skills and see if you can do it. But it's really not that hard at all. It's very easy. I was not amazing at it to begin with, but I've definitely gotten better. And now it's my number 1 way to knit now, I think. That and in a movie theater. Those are 2 of my favorite ways to knit. So, or pastimes to have going on while I'm knitting, I guess. That should be, because I'm knitting and I don't know. You understand what I'm trying to say. It's fun to knit and read. It's fun to knit at the movie theater. It's fun to do things while you knit. There you go. So yes, this is, let's talk about the pattern because we talked about knitting and reading for a long time. This is the Starting Point Mystery Knit Along by Joji Locatelli. This was a mystery knit along she did ooh, goodness knows when, maybe in May or June, a while ago. So clearly I'm very far behind. And I've said that every single time. I'm very far behind. I was gonna do a great job and like be on top of things, and then I wasn't. So that's okay. I'm really enjoying knitting it now, and I cannot wait to have it finished. It'll be along the same shape as the Clapo tee and the other names that it could be called. So it'll be long, and it'll be like a stole scarfy type thing. So that's also very exciting. Also, I just love these colors. Like, oh goodness gracious, they are so amazing. So let's just go over the yarns, because that is always a nice thing to do. If you have not heard me talk about this before, this will be new information, but if you have, and if this is the 1000th time that you've heard me talk about the yarns, I do apologize. I will eventually get this done. I do promise that. It will eventually get done. So here we have, that is very blown out. It's just very like a light pink. Here we have Manos del Uruguay in the Fino base in the Rosewater colorway. Here we have Madeline Tosh BFL Light in the Toner Cartridge colorway. And here we have a car driving by, which is very loud, but has nothing to do with yarn. Here we have Madeline Tosh Mo Light in the Flannel Blanket colorway. Here we have Manos del Uruguay in the Fino base as well, in the Havisham colorway, which is just gorgeous. And then final color, here we have Madeline Tosh Mo Light in the Kitten colorway. So those are all my colors. It's all linked on my Ravelry project page, so if you are interested in looking at the details again, which is super cool, and I probably would do the same thing because I said those very quickly, you can go and do that. It'll be linked in the show notes, so do not worry. I am not excited about all the ends that I will have to weave in, because there's just so many ends. And I think when the mystery knit along was actually going on and we were getting the clues week by week, she did mention in the patterns that we should weave in our ends as we go, because it'll make the process a whole lot more pleasant. But I didn't do that. So I have now oodles and oodles of ends to weave in at some point, which, that's okay. It'll be fine. It's really not that bad. I shouldn't complain. I have brought this upon myself, so it'll be okay. So yes, this is what I've been working on. It's garter stitch with a little bit of like pizzazz every now and then to keep you interested, and it's just so amazing. So I don't know how it's going to be put together yet. I know that at some point things join together, but I just don't know how they join together. So I am fascinated to see how that turns out. Once this project ends, though, I will be kind of sad because it is such a good knitting and reading project, but I'm sure other things will come along. So let's not worry about that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So what am I trying to say? So those are the two things that I have been working on this past week, or yesterday, as I mentioned. So that's it for the current knitting. There is a future knitting project that is probably gonna happen. I don't know for certain, but I think it might be another knit along between me and my mom, because currently we just have the Hadfill hat going on. But there is a sweater called Zweig, Z-W-E-I-G, Zweig. It kind of reminds me of twig, but with an E and a Z in there. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it is beautiful. It is gorgeous, and I'm gonna look up the designer name because I can't remember what her name is. So yes, it's Z-W-E-I-G, Zweig, I I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so if I'm not, I do apologize. If you know how to pronounce it, do let me know. And it is by Caitlin Hunter. And one thing that, actually let me show it to you first, and then I will continue on with what I'm going to say. So this is on her Ravelry product page, and like, is that not beautiful? I know this is very hard to see. This is a very bad representation of what it looks like, but I will link it in the show notes, so don't worry. One thing I really appreciate about her patterns, and I think she describes some of them as this, or along the lines of being modern heirlooms, which I think is super cool, because all of her pieces are very like, they're very much a statement. They're statement pieces, but they're also very like classy looking. They're not like, hi, look at me, look at me. They're just kind of very subtle, but they're also not. Does that make sense? They're just very, they're classy, they're beautiful. And yeah. It's funny though, because like, not all of her patterns, but some of her most recent patterns have been like super popular. I feel like everyone's been knitting them, which is like really cool. But when they first come out, I'm just kind of like, that's cool, but I don't think I would knit that for myself. I don't think I'd wear it. And then as time goes on, I see more and more of them, and I see them styled on Instagram, and I see them look really pretty, and it's like, maybe I do need that. Maybe I should make that for myself. And that was definitely the case with Zwig. I don't know which one it is. I saw it when it came out, and then she slowly put that picture I just showed you. That was one of the ones where it was just like, ooh, that's a pretty sweater. I really like how that looks. And it just seems like a really good statement sweater. And I've been looking into finding stuff like that to add to my wardrobe. Do I really need sweaters in Texas? No, but when it does get into the mid to low 70s and 60s and maybe potentially even 50s, it is nice to have sweaters like that. So, yay. Fun times. And of course I will keep you guys updated with that progress. We are going to Houston for the weekend. So that'll be fun, and I think my mom and I might be finding yarn for it then, maybe. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, Mama. So that's very fun, and I'm very much looking forward to that, like I said. So now I'm just repeating myself, so let's just move on, shall we? So that was future knitting. There's nothing else new in future knitting besides just the random hat that will pop up on Ravelry and the random shawl. Nothing has like been occupying my mind more than normal besides the Zwig sweater. And then the two sweaters I mentioned last week, the Ceylon and the Schnee cardigan, both of them are cardigans. I just can't stop thinking about them at all. It's just like, I have to make them. I have to make them now. But yarn is an object, like I need to get that yarn, and sometimes yarn can be expensive, so you have to plan your projects well. And then there's also Christmas projects to be taken into consideration, which I have gotten all of the items for, so I'm very excited about that. Yay, Christmas crafting and such. I'm very excited. It'll be a lot of fun, so fun times ahead. So in regards to the books that I read, I mentioned that I finished 3 books. One of which was a fluffy book. Actually, well, I don't know. Okay, so I'll just go in the order that I read them, or I finished them. So the first one was book number 10 in the Princess Diaries series. So it was called Forever Princess, I believe. Written by Meg Cabot. And, of course, there's the first 2 movies. Are there 3? I think there's just 2. I don't remember. I can't believe I can't remember that. There's 1 or 2 or 3. I don't know. I think there was just 2. Anyway, not relevant. There are a lot of books. There's 11 books, and it continues to follow Mia, Princess Mia, throughout her life. I've mentioned reading this series before. They are super fluffy. I'm not gonna say that they're very intellectual at all. So, if you if you need intellectual content or just like any kind of thinking about stuff in general, you might not enjoy these books, but I enjoy a bit of fluff. I have nothing wrong with fluff. So it's been a really fun journey, I guess, because I've read through this series basically through the second half of the year, maybe through this entire year, maybe second half of the year, which has been really fun. I'm past the point where I like left off when I first read the series long time ago. So now I don't know what's gonna happen. And now I have one book left in the series, and I'm kind of sad to like come to the end and have only one book left, and then soon that'll be done, but it's been super fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed like growing up with the characters, because you start when everyone's like a freshman in high school, like starting off as freshmen, and then it'll end with a wedding, I believe. I don't know where they are age-wise at the very end, but the 10th book, second to last book, they're all seniors, they're graduating, all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun to have gone through that whole process with everybody in the book. I feel like they're my friends. I love them. They're so wonderful. And yeah, they're just really good books. They're good fluffy books, I should say. If you were into fluffy books, they're good. I do enjoy them. So yes. So the second book that I finished yesterday was a book that I had... Oh, hello, chicken. Birdie has joined us. Are you wanting to talk about books with me? Hi. Hi. Meow. I don't know if you can hear him, but... Hi. You want to be picked up? Hi. Hi. Oh, yes. Hi. Hello, baby. Oh, yes. Oh, hi. Sometimes he just really needs attention, and he needs snuggles, and then he's very impatient about getting snuggles. Birdie, I'm busy right now. So yes, the second book that I finished was, I was about 4 or 5 chapters from finishing it, and, where's the birdie? These are older books. I don't remember when they were written, but they're based in like 1910, 1912, something like that. If not earlier. Hello, there's a birdie. There's a birdie. Someone's a happy little boy. Are you on the podcast? Do you enjoy being on the podcast? Birdie, we're talking about books and you're very distracting. I just love you so much, Angel. Hello. We're having some gymnastics right now. Hi. Hello. Hello. Hi. He says hello to everyone. Oh, does that feel good? Does that feel good? Hi. Woo. There he is again. Hello. Hi. You want to be put down? Sorry for that distraction. That was just very unexpected. He just really needed attention. And he's still in the room, so we'll see how that ends up. So, okay, so this, where was I? Older book. So this author, I grew up reading, and I grew up loving her books so much. They, were kind of like Anne of Green Gables to me. I read them before I read Anne of Green Gables, I think, but you may be wondering who this author is and what the series is, because I have failed to mention who they are, or what they are. So this author's name is Maud Hart Lovelace, and she is probably most famous for her series called Betsy Tacy, or Betsy Tacy and Tib, if you read more into the series. I read those growing up, and I loved them. I remember reading them like in middle school or whatever kind of grade I was in, I don't know, and then rereading them again and loving them. They're just so amazing. She's such a good writer, and so she has other series that are about like the additional characters, not the main characters in the Betsy Tacy Tib community, I guess, but like their friends that were external. but like grew up in the same friend group. Does that make sense? I don't think I explained that very well. Hopefully that made sense. But anyway, so I read a book. She has another series called, I'm looking at the details on my phone, the Deep Valley series. And the first book in that series is called Carney's House Party. And I believe the nickname Carney is short for Caroline, maybe? I don't remember for certain, but it was a very good book. It reminded me of reading the Betsy Tacy books, and now it makes me want to read them over again. Because again, it's very similar to like you start off with them when they're like little children, and then it goes through to like when they're getting married and stuff. And like that's just super fun. Who doesn't love a book series like that? And plus I read it when I was younger, and it just is happy memories, so that's always really wonderful. I think in this series there are 3 books. There's the Carney's House Party, there's Emily of Deep Valley, and then Winona's Pony Cart, maybe? I don't know that for certain, but there's 3 books, and they're about 3 other girls in this group of friends and stuff. And they're old books. They're very well written. I highly recommend them if you're into like the classics and stuff, so they're good. And then thirdly, the book that I started yesterday afternoon and finished it at around 1 this morning, is called Blackmore by Julianne Donaldson. And the Goodreads description is very good, but at the end it says it's a combination of Wuthering Heights and Little Women, which I don't think is very accurate. I would say it's more of like Pride and Prejudice, definitely Jane Austen, and maybe Wuthering Heights. So if you like that kind of like Regency historical fiction, it was incredible. It was such another like really amazing book. Obviously I couldn't stop reading it, and I finished it in a day. It made me laugh, it made me cry, there were happy tears, there were sad tears, it was like every kind of emotion. It was just so good. So good. Highly recommend you looking it up. And yeah, it's just Regency, all the family drama that can happen in Regency novels and historical fiction novels, all that kind of stuff. So it was very well written. I connected with the good characters. I hated the bad characters. It was wonderful. I loved it so much. I don't know how many other books she has, but I will definitely be reading them in the near future because they were so good. So good. So that's it for books. I have more books coming up in my like to read list for sure. But if you like to like keep up to date with what I'm doing in regards to reading and books, you can find me on my Goodreads. I'll link that in the show notes. I keep that very up to date just because I think it's fun to check books off as I go. And of course on Goodreads you have your yearly reading goal list or whatever it's called. I initially set it to be 30 books, maybe 25 books or whatever, and I've slowly just kept surpassing it, and so I just keep increasing it by 5. So who knows where I'll be by the end of the year, but I've definitely exceeded my original goal of 25 or 30 books, so that's really wonderful. I am very excited about that. I've just really enjoyed how much reading I've been able to get done. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed getting to read more fun books after being in school and like not having as much time to read fun books. So it's been a very nice like, remember these wonderful books, remember the funness of reading fiction. Isn't it amazing? It's so wonderful. I love it. And of course if you have book recommendations, I would love them. If you go on to Goodreads, you can recommend books very easily. You can just send me it and it'll give me a notification. Or if you want to leave a comment or send me a message or whatever, if you have any kind of books that you love, let me know because I'm super down with trying new books. So, highly would love recommendations if you have them. If not, that's super cool. So, that's totally fine. But I'm about sharing the book love, sharing the book information, all that good stuff. So yay for Goodreads. Yay for Goodreads. And then lastly, on the baking front, I haven't really done a whole lot of baking, but last week I mentioned that I might be making granola, and I did that, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. The granola is incredible. I made the pumpkin pie granola, so like, it's like pumpkin spice granola. Oh my goodness, it's just so good. And I don't know, granted this was my first time making granola, so I don't know if I did something wrong or whatever, if this is just the way it turns out, but I don't think it's the recipe by any means. The recipe was totally fine. It's not like super crispy and crunchy like normal granola is. It's more of like the consistency of like a thicker, denser oatmeal cookie, which like I don't have a problem with, and my husband also loves it. So, and there's pecans in there, so like it's nutty, it's really good. But yeah, it's just not crispy, which, I mean, I like a little bit of crunch with granola, but then you have the nuts, so it's really okay. But do you have any ideas about that? Do you know why it's not crispy? Or it made a lot and it didn't all fit in my one pan, so like some of it kind of crisped up a little bit, but not a whole lot, and so then I scooped the non-crispy stuff onto a smaller pan and like let that cook for longer. Maybe I needed a bigger pan. I don't know. We'll just have to try it again, but it's really good granola. I highly recommend the recipe if you like making your own granola, or if you're wanting to try something new. I highly recommend it. And so that'll be linked in the show notes, so you can find that recipe on the blog, One Sweet Appetite. So, yay. And so with that, I think we have come to the end of the list of all the things that I was going to talk about this episode. I see that it is almost an hour, so we will see what it is in the end after editing, because people have been noisy today and I've had to wait for them to stop being noisy, but oh well. Thankfully they were quiet sometimes, so that is always a plus. Just to review the things that I mentioned at the beginning, of course there are links to all the things that I talked about. They will be linked on my blog, in the show notes, or if you're on YouTube or anywhere else, they'll be linked down below. Gotta push up my glasses. All my various social medias will be linked there as well. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram by far. Always active on there. It's just the best. There's also a Ravelry podcast group that you can join, but I'm very bad at posting in, but you can go and join there anyway if you'd like. If you go to Ravelry and click on the groups tab and then search the Cat Knit Podcast, it will pop up. And then there's also an online yarn store where you can buy some yarn that I've hand dyed. That is the catknityarns.bigcartel.com. Both those things will be linked in the show notes, so don't worry, they will be there. And yeah, so I think that is it for this week. I hope you've had a wonderful week, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful weekend. If you have crafty plans, I hope they are successful. I have crafty plans for this weekend. There's definitely car knitting for sure, and then also I'm gonna get to knit with my mom this weekend, so that's super exciting and very fun and always a joy, especially when we're planning knit-alongs, so that's also very fun. But either way, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this weekend. And yes, there will be car knitting for sure. But I don't know what I'm going to bring yet, besides the... I don't know, I can bring these two things that I showed you, but I kind of want to bring something else. I don't know. I have time to figure it out. I should probably go do that now, though, before I like procrastinate and put it off till we need to leave. Anyway, so with that, I will say goodbye and hope you have a good weekend and all those things, and that hope you're enjoying the fall weather if you have it. Yay for Friday the 13th. We've been watching scary movies, and my husband and I watched Friday the 13th sometime last week, and we watched the second one last night, both for the first time. We'd never seen either one, and they're very interesting. The second one is significantly more intense than the first one. I will say that was just my personal opinion. It was very intense. It was good. Both of them are good, but they're just kind of like, what? What? I don't know. We don't do scary movies a whole lot, but it is kind of fun, especially in October. to kind of like do a little bit of spooky. And then we have cute things like this little pumpkin and stuff like that. So we have pumpkin lights. We decorated our door. We have an actual pumpkin. There are kids playing around and screaming. So there's also that. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful whatever you're having whenever you watch this, and I will see you guys next week. Bye! Taking a Snapchat for everyone to see. Hello!